The last piece that I want to talk to you about today are personality disorders. Now, personality disorders are disorders that we diagnose after the age of 18. Now, the symptoms can be present before the age of 18, but we diagnose them at 18 or later, typically, for a formal diagnosis. Now, personality disorders tend to be more global, broader, more severe, more resistant to treatment than other conditions. So it affects most, if not all, aspects of this person's functioning, right? So there is not psychosis. This person is in touch with reality. In some cases, for example, paranoid personality disorder, there can be some psychotic features, but in general, that is not the case. The person oftentimes is impulsive, they lack insight to their behaviors, and stress triggers or exacerbates symptoms. So let's talk about some of the personality disorders. So when we talk about schizoid personality disorder, well, a person who has schizoid personality disorder is an individual who has a lack of interest in relationships, tends to be slightly distant from other people, has interest in being isolated or alone. I don't want you to mix up schizophrenia with schizoid, even though the root is the same, right? So this person is apathetic to relationships. Now, they might engage in relationships from a practical point of view or from a logistical point of view, but they are not in need of relationships like you or I. Most of us were referred to as what's called the social animal. Most of us thrive by establishing healthy attachments with others. A person with schizoid personality disorder doesn't need that. They tend to be indifferent to praise, they tend to be indifferent to criticism, and then they have that blunted affect. Narcissism. So, narcissistic personality disorder, there is an inflated sense of self or grandiosity. There is an excessive preoccupation with personal success, a need for attention. And what's important is that this individual will have overinflation of their sense of self and minimize the contributions of others. So we have the grandiosity, we have the need for admiration, we exaggerate our abilities or what we have done, we underrate the contributions of others, and there is some reduced empathy. Now, some, not all, lack empathy. Now, borderline personality disorder is another one. This is probably one of the more popularized ones out there. So, this individual is more likely to have an instability in sense of self, mood, and behavior. So, the person doesn't have a clear understanding of who they are. So, any kind of criticism is going to set them off or threaten their sense of self. They're it feels like you're walking on eggshells at times because they have this unstable mood, irritability. They might engage in self-destructive behavior like excessive drinking or partying, excessive sex, reckless sex, that is, and so forth, and just a sense of worthlessness. So we also have antisocial personality disorder. Now, you might have heard this person referred to as a sociopath or a psychopath. So when we use the word antisocial, it's not that they're shy or they're reserved. They have no regard for the rules of society. So they are more likely to violate the law. They're more likely to manipulate other people for their own gain. They're more likely to deceive people, right? So they're more impulsive. They tend to engage in things like um, stealing identities, right? Etc. Because in their mind, they don't have a need to follow the rules of society, right? So there's this lack of remorse or apathy that's there. So this is pretty much the end of our like list of disorders I want you to know. If you want, there is a whole class on disorders, and if you found any of this interesting or at least even curious, you can take a class and learn about the disorders in greater depth.